when you talk about using your money or savings to create value,
Yeah.
creating value is literally solving a problem.
Yeah.
The only reason you'd ever give money to anybody is if they solve a problem.
Yeah.
I'm hungry, I'll give you money for a hamburger.
Yeah.
I want this ticket, I'll give you money for the ticket, or whatever it is, right? So it's like, when you think about it in those terms, then you realize that business owners are actually servants.
Yeah.
They're not greedy people. They're servants. They can only make money by solving problems of other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it does get spun upside down. Now,
Well, but let me just pause because right now, I don't know if you're seeing around us, there's a demonization of the CEO.
of course.
Right? I mean, billionaires are the enemy. And I think we only feel that way, or the people in the population feel that way, because I don't think that we would have this big of a wealth gap if money was honest, and if we didn't have a system that became so concentrated in terms of power, this monopoly over money that allowed the Cantillon effect to set in, right? So the people that are closest, they can use that leverage to get more and more and more rich. It's not about value creation at some point. It's these massive corporations that can now put everyone else out of business because they're closer to the money printer. And I think that instead of a system where we are basically encouraged to villainize the CEO and the entrepreneur and the business leader, we need a system that rewards it, where it is a source of inspiration that makes other people want to do that. And we don't have that right now. We literally have the opposite, where we have crony capitalism, and everyone who's a beneficiary of that is seen as the enemy.
Yeah.
And so we need to change that. But we don't need to change it by like taking the CEO's money and redistributing it, just giving it to the government to decide what they want to spend it on. We need to change the system itself and create a new incentive system.
Yeah. Yeah. We need to get rid of the oversized government regulations that create all those monopolies and allow businesses to fail, so we can have people moving up and down. And so they can come down and
consequences. Reintroduce consequences.
Yeah, reintroduce consequences.
No bailouts.
Yeah. And so when you can't print the money anymore, then you end the bailouts. Yeah.
Remove the defund the bailouts, defund the wars.
I think though that maybe there's this is a little bit of a contrarian take, but I think there's too much put onto the income inequality gap. And I think rather than look at the amount of income or wealth they have, we could look at it more of a consumption. So what do I mean by that? Jeff Bezos, not to call him out. Well, let's call it Jeff Bezos for a second. Number one, status is a zero-sum game. So for me to have more status, you have to lose status. But wealth is not a zero-sum game. Wealth creates more wealth. So when Jeff Bezos became one of the richest guys in the world, millions of people have become millionaires because they can sell products on Amazon. And they wouldn't have had that without it. But I think also we think about the consumption, right? So like Jeff Bezos, I'm sure has a house, and I'm sure he has a flat screen TV in that house, and he probably has a car, and he probably has an iPhone. And I have an iPhone and a car and a house and a flat screen TV. He can fly around the country. I can fly around the country. He has access to U.S. healthcare. I have access to U.S. healthcare. The average, even the person on welfare in the United States, has a house with a flat screen TV and 3 meals a day. Now, he has more houses, but like, so what, right? So like when we think about like on that, so I think maybe back to, I think we had talked about earlier, sort of how Marxist tendencies want to pit the rich against the poor so we can like come out with pitchforks and try and take what they have. But like, so that's why I think looking at the income side is like the wrong thing that we're looking at. So it's like, I have a flat screen. I got a house, I got a car, I can fly around the country, not a private jet, granted, but so what, right? Now, Jeff Bezos worked in an office 80 hours a week for 20 years. I also don't want that. I don't want to work 80 hours a week in a cubicle for 20 years. No, screw that, man. I'd rather be on the beach, right? And so I think rather if we looked about like, what do we have? And I guess it's like, am I trained on what I have and grateful for what I have versus what I don't have? Now, there's certainly, and it's not Jeff Bezos' fault, there's certainly why don't these people make a living wage, and why aren't they able to save for the future? And that's going back to fix the money and the Bitcoin piece. So anyway, maybe a little bit of a tangent I'm off on, but I think we're focused on this gap that's not really that important, and it kind of creates us pitting against each other.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think you make some great points. this isn't just related to, our system of money, but also things have changed over the past few decades. And most of the value creation, so to speak, is oftentimes made in stock values, right? Sure. Whether or not the company's actually profitable or providing better and better services or goods. But really, like, the executive compensation is tied to the stocks. And when you have access to easy money at artificially low interest rates, and you can use that to buy back your own stock and inflate its value, that's where I think it starts to get into some wonky areas, because we have seen from like 1980 to today, the gap between like a worker to a CEO's pay become exacerbated by things like stock buybacks and the compensation structures.
What happened is, under Bill Clinton, they said that you can't pay these these CEOs that exorbitant salary anymore,
right,
and be able to write that off against your taxes.
And look at what it turned into.
We can't pay them. So then the company's like, well, if I can't pay them, obviously if I want the good talent, I have to pay them. But the government says I can't pay them, so I guess we'll give them stock.
Yeah, and it all comes back to the government making these decisions, putting their hand into the free market. It's really interesting. Obviously, there's no maybe clean solution, but I do think it is a source of frustration for a lot of people to see that the pay gap has gone from like 7 to 10 times what an employee makes to like 200 times. Yeah. But it's related to those types of compensation structures.
I want to dig into your book, but before I do, I want to ask you one other question about that, because what I also see, so we talked about the Jeff Bezos and the wealthy side, but then the problem is that the average person is struggling to get by.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
and
because everything has been inflated.
Their money is buying them less goods and services because everything's being inflated. Their savings aren't getting their future that they want, and that's a big problem.
Yeah.
But I also see that the world changed very rapidly. Most people still haven't caught up with how fast things have changed. They're still not even processing how much AI and Bitcoin has changed the world. And so they're operating from this industrial era lens, and then we're not in that world. And so we had, like, you managed to go from this like corporate legacy world to like this new creator economy, for example, where like, I don't need mainstream, this mainstream legacy path, and I don't need to be dependent on someone to give me a paycheck every 2 weeks. I can just go take the value that I can create and I can provide that to the world in exchange for money. And I'm guessing you're doing much better today than you were under that old path. And so how much of it is that people are still sort of living through that lens and they haven't sort of adapted to this new world that we're in today?
I love that you brought this up, because decentralization isn't just happening with our money, but it's really happened as a result of the internet with things like information and with our ability to have careers. I mean, globally, I have someone working for me who's in a different country, who's providing value because I'm in this creator digital economy. So I'll never forget when I was considering, should I leave my job in order to go out on my own, basically. And there's no guarantees. There's no stability. There's no paycheck. And I remember I struggled with it. And it's like the fiat system programs you to basically be a corporate slave, right? Like a debt slave. You think, hey, the 9 to 5, that's safe. That's safe. I have my paycheck. I put a little bit aside for retirement. Yeah. I know that something, is going to protect me the next day when I go into my office. But you don't realize that you're like starving yourself of so much opportunity. And I look at the people who were early to adopt things like YouTube or TikTok or these online social media platforms, and look at what they created for themselves. I mean, Mr. Beast, right? Like, did you see the video that he posted the other day where he literally, this is a really interesting story. So in 2014 or 15, when he was just starting out on YouTube, he literally posted a video of himself that he scheduled to publish 10 years from now.
No way.
Yes. And so it just published. It's him 10 years back saying, all right, if you're watching this, I hopefully have 1 million subscribers. And
oh, no way.
And he's got like 100 million subscribers. Yeah. I mean, he's made so much, and he's made not only an impact, but like he's trying to give back. He's someone who wants to like help others, do philanthropy. I don't even watch his content, but like that's what I've seen that he's about.
Sure.
And so like you can make anything happen. And I think sometimes we are our own worst enemy. We almost keep ourselves back because we assume, well, I'm in this safe job. Like I shouldn't risk it, right? I shouldn't destabilize. And that's probably harder if you have a family, right? But again, if we had a form of money that we could rely on, we could allow us to save for the future, maybe we would take more of those creative entrepreneurial risks, because it would seem worth it, because you'd be thinking about the future and what you could create instead of being in this, like, you know, I'm paycheck to paycheck. How am I going to afford? What if everything doesn't work out? Like, you're in a different mentality in a world of fiat and unsound money than when you're on the Bitcoin standard, thinking about what could be possible. And I mean, thank goodness I did this. I'm so grateful. I probably wouldn't be sitting here, and I'd probably be, you know, reporting on some tragedy, wondering when and how can I get out of this?